So we're live.
There we go.
All right. Hi, guys. Thank you for joining me this special coffee chat tonight. I have two people joining me. Right now, I've got Melissa. I'm going to introduce her, let her introduce herself in a minute. So if you're hopping on, what I want you to do is, first of all, remember to allow StreamYard access so you can comment and we can see who you are. So if you don't, that's okay. Just comment, hey, this is so-and-so, I'm from here. And if you have any questions, definitely leave them in the comments below. Hashtag replay if you don't make it, so that I can see that you watched it and come back and answer your questions and we can chat with you. This is really interactive. That's why I call them coffee chats. And I see some people joining, so just say hi and let us know where you're from. And we'll just kind of hop in and start talking about this body image journey. So we've got Melissa on here right now. And Melissa, tell everyone a little bit about you and your journey into food and body freedom. Like what kind of inspired you to get going or to get started?
Sure. Hi everyone. So my name is Melissa Morrison. I live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So up kind of by the Rocky Mountains, and I'm 43. And what kind of inspired me to get going was I'm in recovery. So I quit about December 1st, 2019. I removed like alcohol and any other substances from my life, which was a really big journey for me. And then, so after I felt like I kind of had that, I had a plan. I had a plan in my mind of like how I was going to work on this personal growth. So I was going to, get recovery and sobriety and like living a sober life, under control, which is like no small feat. And then I was going to quit smoking. And then I did that. And then I was like, okay, now it's time to address this like 40 or 50 pounds that I put on in the last 10 years. So I went to go see a naturopath, an excellent naturopath. And I was like, okay, so what should I be eating? And she looked at me and she's like, well, what do you want to eat? And I was like, ugh, that is not helpful. But it's really helpful, right? And so she told me about intuitive eating. And I looked at it and when I looked at it, it had like the feeling of truth. Like it kind of hit my body like the way that truth hits my body. And I was like, yes, this is what I need, like this is what I need. I know, like, it's not like I don't know what's good for you or not good for you or what different foods do for your body. If there's something else going on with me and food. And so when I looked at intuitive eating, the first step, as I understand of intuitive eating, is you have to reject diet culture and you have to, like, weight loss cannot be your goal. And I was like, but how can weight loss not be my goal when all I really want to do is lose weight? And that doesn't make sense to me. And when I heard about it, when I heard about people saying you don't need to lose weight, I was like, no, you don't understand. You must be talking about if you've gained 5 or 10 pounds. I was like, I've gained like probably 40, maybe even 50 pounds in the last 10 years. And I was like, there's no way that I don't have to lose weight. Like I thought that I didn't even know. And so I went and listened to one of Wendy's talks, and someone else asked kind of that question on my behalf. And I thought for sure it was not healthy to be bigger, 40 or 50 pounds bigger than I was 10 years ago. And Wendy was like, well, how's your blood pressure? How's your cholesterol? Do you have any joint problems? And I don't. And she's like, well, then you're healthy. And it was just like, I don't know. It blew my mind. Actually, it was like totally new information. And I realized that I was not ready. Like I was so stressed out. Like I realized that I was not ready to start intuitive eating because I realized that I had so much shame and like self-loathing, and the way I felt about my body caused me such a great amount of distress that I didn't know how to be happy without changing my body. So that's kind of why I started here.
I'm so glad that you did.
Thank you.
I saw Alexandra. She joined us too now. How are you doing?
Good. I'm trying to figure out why my head's so big on this thing.
It's the camera, I think. You look fine. Do you want to introduce yourself to everybody and just tell them who you are and maybe what inspired you to get going on this journey?
Sure. I'm Alexandra. I'm 46. I've been a registered dietitian now. God, how long have I been one? 18 years, I think. And I've always, even as a dietitian, I've struggled with weight, and it got to where I actually had some lab value issues that I was going, but then I kept thinking, why is it I stop and start, I stop and start? You know, I tried little things, and I keep saying as you get older, it gets harder, your recovery from exercise. And I really, probably COVID was the moment that I had to stare myself in the face and say, whatever you've tried, it's not working. What is it that's in this brain of mine that's not allowing me to do the things that I thought I enjoyed doing? But so Wendy and I have gone back over many, many years, and I participated in a lot of things and programs that she did, and not all were bad. There's some yummy things that I miss. But when she was talking about this journey that she was taking and that she was going to do something for dietitians, my first thing was, finally, I'm going to lose weight. Finally, I'm going to find the blocks. But what it turned out to be for me was, why was I having these blocks? And I think the cognitive therapy, which I would never have said those two words in this type of program, and intuitive eating, but I realized in order for me to be successful at enjoying life, which I don't think I really knew how to do, because I over restricted, I under restricted, I over exercised, I punished myself since I was 10 years old because of what was said about my weight and that I developed early. And I think the program opened up so many more doors for me to dig deep inside to realize this wasn't as much as a weight problem as it was the fact that I needed to literally rewire my thinking. And so I think now I've honestly been in such a good place. It's not perfect. It's not all day, but it's every day. So I think I really did. And so when I got the first exercises, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what does this all mean? But every week we learned something new, took another step, shared it with each other, and then it started clicking. And it really has helped me now with my patients, my dietitian coworkers, and simply my coworkers, where you hear everybody's on a diet every single day, every other month. You know, I got to go, I have a reunion, I'm going to Vegas, I need to lose this before I go. And I'm going, you don't have to be trapped that way anymore. And if I can find a release from my own diet jail, you know.
I love how you said something about perfect. It's not perfect.
It's not, I'm happy. It's not all day, every day. And it's a direct quote from Sex and the City, Miss Charlotte. I'm not happy all day, every day, but every day I can find something that is working, that is positive, and that I don't sit there. I mean, I ate tater tots for an appetizer today, and I'm not sitting here going, yeah, I need to go to the gym and burn off 300 calories with my Fitbit or the machine. Both aren't exact science. Log in my exercise. I'm done.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is, compared to what Melissa said earlier, I knew when I started this program and I learned about intuitive eating, I was in no way ready for that. But where do you think you are now in terms of intuitive eating after you did this program? Because I feel like you can't even embrace the concept of ditching a diet or giving yourself permission to eat food if you don't feel worthy in your body. And I don't know, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think for me, like this course has given me so much freedom. Like it feels really similar, like to recovery from other things. It's given me so much freedom in my life. Like I still don't love the way my body looks, but it doesn't like grip my soul. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't take energy out of me. I can be like, you know, I'll see myself and I'll think, ugh, and then I'll be like, no, you know what? That's what my body looks like. And then I can think of things that I do like about what's going on, and then I can go on with my day. And so looking at my next steps, thinking about intuitive eating, like I know that I have a little more work to do. I have a hard time like taking time for myself and sitting and eating and like and eating consistently and things like that. So I still feel like in the feeling comfortable taking time to prioritize myself. Like I have some work to do, but I think I think that's all going to be a journey. I feel like I no longer, there's times when I feel like I do want to lose weight, and then I'm like, no, but the thought will come and I'll be like, oh, maybe you could just go on like a quick diet before you start intuitive eating or something. Right. Like, you know, while you're waiting.
That's a normal thought.
Yeah. And then,
but
now I can stop, right? I have some space and I'm like, is that the person that I am right now? Are those the values that I'm living? Do I do things like that? Is that the life I'm living where instead of doing the work and the growth to be the person I want to be, do I take shortcuts that really never pay off? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that.
And I think, Melissa, you sharing what you overcame prior to this journey, I think that speaks for anyone that's stuck in a place of unhappiness, which leads to continuous stress, until you let that go and until you sit there and say, I've done everything I can. I'm exhausted. I need to, I mean, I don't want to say it's a do or die, but in some ways it is a do or die. If you are ready to let it go and really let it go and learn that letting it go does not mean you're going to eat McDonald's for breakfast every single morning, but that it's okay to eat half a bagel with peanut butter on it or cream cheese or, you know, paired with whatever, then that's where you need to be. And that's when I think a program like this helps, because anytime you're faced with that final push of, I have to change this to be happy. And as we all said, when you're happy, things fall into place. It may not go off like a rocket. It might just be like little mouse steps, but it's like every step you shed a piece of stress.
You mentioned the steps in the program, and each week, which I got you guys' feedback and I loved, is that, you know, hey, this is so much information. We need 2 weeks in between our coaching calls. So it's a 16-week program now, not an 8-week program, because I knew there was a lot of information, and I don't want you guys to rush through these steps. You're not going to go from, like you said, Alexandra, rock bottom to loving your body in 8 weeks, and maybe not loving your body in 16 weeks. There are days, and I've told you ladies this before, there are days that I don't love my body. Most days I don't wake up like I love the things that my body can do for me. And I go to that place of like positive versus like negative. So a lot of this work that we did was retraining our brain and so I don't know if I guess my question, coming back to like the steps, was there one week that you guys remember there being like an aha for you? Or
there were so many, and it's funny, like some of them were like instant, like, oh wow, you know, like, oh, like for instance, when you talk about body checking, which is like, when you stand in the mirror and like you look to see, like I have this thing where I would stand in the mirror and then I always look sideways to see how fat I look. And then I look, forward. And like, when you told me that that's a thing and that I don't have to do it anymore, I was like, oh, wow. And then I just stopped. I was like, I don't need to do that. Like doing that makes no difference on how I look or what my life is like. So I can stop doing that. And that was really nice. But there were other things like when we did, like when we talked about the myths, like the myths, like the beauty myths or whatever it was. And one of them was about like the things that have happened to me in my life are because of the way I look. And that one, kind of, I was like, no, I don't think I think that. But like the more that I reflected on it slowly, like I keep remembering all these times where people would be like, oh, you only got that because you're pretty. Or like a jealous boyfriend would be like, oh, he's only talking to you because he wants to sleep with you. Or like so many things in my life. And I think that's why I believed that people told me that how I looked was the most important thing. And so when I feel like I don't look the way I used to look, why that was so devastating was because so many people had told me like, oh, this is happening for you because of the way you look. And I believed it. And I think the reason at the time when I heard it in the lesson that it wasn't like an instant aha was because I think I still believed it a little bit. Like I didn't realize, right? So now I'm like, well, maybe I was just confident, or maybe I was funny, or maybe I was maybe like those things didn't happen just because of the way I looked, maybe. And that's like it's been something that's really slowly coming to me. But yeah, one of the biggest ones for me was thinking, like in one of the lessons you encouraged us to think about people that we know and love and admire and how that would change if they gained 20 or 30 pounds. And I was like, well, of course. And that was huge for me because I was like, oh, because I felt like the way that I looked and gaining weight was like a billboard for like all of my shame around like addiction and not taking care of myself and like things that I thought I should do. So when I thought about how I would think of people that I respect and admire, like how they look would never enter my thoughts. So that was a pretty big one. But there were so many. Oh, and the other one too, the very last week when you were talking about our body and moving our body and connecting to our body, which I've been able to do so much more easily and happily since this course. And you were talking about it was like when a couple is fighting and because I had some resistance, like I didn't feel like exercising or being in my body or being connected to my body. And it was like kind of stopping me from wanting to move and do activity that I love. And you said something about like, when you go to couples counseling and you're not getting along, the therapist will encourage you to go and have fun together and find out why that you connected in the first place. And that this is the same thing. I mean, like, okay, body, and I know you don't want to hang out with me and I don't want to hang out with you, but get in the car because we're going on a date. And that was like super helpful for me because it helped me with a way to overcome like the resistance that I was having, like for it to be okay, like to acknowledge the resistance and to say like, I know you're there, but it's not a signal that you shouldn't do this. It's a signal that you should just push forward. So that was hugely helpful.
And that thing that you're describing is that embodiment that I want everyone to have when they go through this course. Like it's this program. I mean, when we start out, it's like we're not in our body. We're attacking the billboard. And in the end, it's like healing your relationship with yourself and your body and what it's done for you and treating it and making choices out of kindness and not shame, guilt, beating yourself up. So I don't know, Alexandra, was there anything that you thought that stuck out differently?
I think the beauty myths and the questions you posed, on a scale of whatever. And I was going, wow, I really have some of these characteristics I never thought I did. I think the biggest one for me, though, my moment was the misplacement of anger. It was more that realizing that I was the classic example of, living in the United States. I wasn't obviously, like my parents, my mom never had to deal with weight. And the doctor's telling her I'm overweight and I need X amount. It was actually 2,000 calories, surprise. But he said, my mom was just baffled. And everything she did from there on, she tried to do her best, not realizing that the doctor could, and those were different times. They couldn't say, well, you were born of a different culture. You're not going to be tall, thin. Nobody warned me about the well endowment at an early age. So, there was zero preparation for me and my mother. And I think when I tap into that more, I get it. And when I see it now with young girls or people of bigger sizes in our profession, I have definitely more sympathy. And in the end, nobody pushed me to, kind of like Melissa said, when you were thin, you were given a lot of compliments, and most of mine came from men, and that just absolutely caused a lot of grief. And now when I ask friends, give me some non-body image compliments, they've been the same throughout my adult life. And I'm going, why is it taking me this long to say thank you? Thank you. You're right. And be proud of that. And it's because I put my anger in the wrong direction. And letting that go was probably my biggest aha moment. And then it started a trickle effect of just things letting go. It's like little fireworks going off, and you're like, oh, I pieced the puzzle together. And I think that was my biggest aha moment. And, as nutritionists, researchers, working with clients, working in different avenues, we are under so much stress being under the microscope alone. And then you have diet. I'll never forget a conference where my director said to me about another dietitian, going, you should lose some weight. And I was like, wow. I mean, when you're 70 years old.
You never know where she came from, where she grew up, what her mother told her, what internal dialogue she has in her head.
Mm-hmm.
And like Melissa, maybe she doesn't know that you can be healthy at any size. So from what we know now, that was a pretty fat phobic thing to say to somebody, and not really knowing about their health or their culture or where they came from. But another thing that I think this program teaches you is to cultivate some compassion for people that say those things.
For sure. I had to, throughout this course, because I actually think the biggest aha is just like, I just didn't know I had permission to try and love myself the way I look right now.
Yeah.
Like, I had no idea. Like, I thought that I absolutely had to make my body smaller. I didn't know that it was okay for me to work on living like, and that was just like, it was earth shaking for me to learn that. But also, like, as I've gone through this course, I've had to call my sister like so many times and be like, I'm so sorry. Because like I believed that being smaller was what we were supposed to be, and it made life easier. And so I was always like giving her advice on how to be smaller, and or like other people, like I was that person saying you need to lose weight because I thought you needed to lose weight. And I care about people. But this course has also made me see other people differently. Like my idea of beauty has expanded like tons, and it's really interesting. Like I genuinely have like a wider reference, or like I just I see more beauty in more people more often now.
I love that. That makes me so happy. But so Now that it's over, where do both of you want this journey to take you? Where do you want to go from here?
Now, I plan on doing some intuitive eating. So right now I'm focusing on connecting with my body and moving my body. And, this course has taught me that not all of my direction should be coming from my brain. My brain has us saying some things, but my body should be telling me other things, and connecting that. So I'm working on that now. And then intuitive eating will be my next step. I think I've already started that a bit. I'm more mindful about what I eat. I don't have a cycle of not wanting to eat something and then eating it anyway and then hating myself and then that whole addictive cycle. So I think continuing on that journey is what I want to do.
This program makes it so much easier to make those choices because you've learned how to make those choices from kindness and compassion and not from shame or this feeling like I have to lose weight or else, and tearing your body down and looking in the mirror and picking yourself apart. That's that downward spiral that is really hard to pick yourself up.
Yeah. And discouraging. I did a bar class the other day, which I never would have done before this course. I was a dancer when I was young, and the idea of going and in this bar class, I could see myself in the mirror and I caught my reflection and I was like, ugh, I instantly had that reaction, you look terrible, which, before would have made that an unpleasant experience. But then I said to myself, no, that's actually, I don't need to think like that. You look like someone who's doing something they enjoy, trying something new, taking care of their body, and now I'll go back, right? So
trying something new. What about you, Alexandra?
Kind of along the same lines, but as I'm listening to Melissa, I think for me it was, I was exhausted from diet and exercise to I didn't want to do anything. But I've accepted the fact I may not run, except for my end. Except for my end, Wendy.
Can you hear the echo too? Yeah, I was messing with the I'm not sure. There we go.
Okay. For me, it was accepting there are things that I may not do like I used to, but there are other things that are equally good for my body that I can do. And when I got on the elliptical, why is it the first 15 minutes of every exercise is the worst? They always say, get over that 15-minute hump, you're fine. You can go for the next hour. And I was nervous being back in the gym post-COVID, but I was like, what else am I going to do today? It's too hot to be outside. And so what made the experience more than good was the fact that I ran into somebody whose boutique I visit and support, and we were just chit-chatting, and she was going, you can stay longer so I don't run. And I'm like, if I'm standing here sweating, go for it. And it was more of a joke because she had a fan in her hand. But it was, this is why I love my gym. I see somebody, I say hey to somebody, which makes the experience nicer. And I didn't have to do it. I did what I could, and I felt great.
Sorry, we're echoing just a little bit. I'm trying to.
Sorry.
That's okay. But thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. It is hard to kind of talk to yourself and say, you know what? Guys, I'm sorry about this echo. Can you hear me?
I don't hear an echo. I can hear you fine.
You don't? Okay.
No.
You think it's from my end?
Mm-hmm.
I just changed my microphone. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, good. I turned that thing off.
So yeah. And now I'm still hearing the echo.
Are you too? Yeah, I don't hear anything. That's funny.
Really? Okay. It must just be me.
We'll just keep rolling with it. We're coming up towards the end of it. I want to walk through those steps that you were talking about. The steps that go through the eight weeks or now the 16 weeks, because it really is kind of a process. And you guys, if as I'm going through the steps, you want to say anything about like something that you remember, or definitely chime in. So it's a 16-week body image program now. And week 1, we really just focused in on our strengths and our weaknesses. So our body image strengths and weaknesses. So you learn kind of like your own appearance and your own unique experience with your appearance. So we go through a lot of self-testing, and you go through the tests, a lot of tests, and discover kind of the many facets of your body image. What makes you tick. And that helps you understand kind of going into the next week. You've taken all these tests, analytical, but you can go back and you can look at these tests and these results as we go through the steps. So week 2, we kind of look at your history, your body image, and why you maybe have a negative body image or where that came from, and look at maybe pinpointing exactly when that started back in your history. So we kind of go back and then we do some things in the course, in the program, that are actually like activities. This is when Melissa and Alexandra said, we need more time. Some writing activities. I mean, because it first of all, it takes time to sit down and write, to think about your history, to think back, to put it down to paper. So yeah, we do that. And then we're thinking all about the past, and then we come up to the present. And the third step, we think about the present, because the past is only going to tell us so much, and we don't want to dwell in the past. We want to change that moving forward. So we focus on some present situations, and that's when we start to work on more of the brain, retraining our brain and the mindfulness. And then we learn how to feel. You guys remember that, how to feel what we think, because what we feel influences our beliefs and our thoughts and our behaviors. So it got a little, that's when we started like getting deep. About halfway through, we started learning how to feel things, and then we start challenging these beliefs that we have. The internal mean girl, the way that we talk to ourselves. We call it like our negative body talk. You can name her if you want. You can tell her that at this point, she has helped you. She has been your way to cope, but you're not going to let her talk to you that way anymore. She has to sit in the back seat because you have a new voice, a new inner voice. And then, so the next week, we start cultivating our new inner voice. And then the last couple weeks, we look at ways we've like our actions, things that we've done to like avoid situations, to protect ourselves. And we uncover the patterns, and then we work to change those patterns. This could take a while. You probably, and I guess that's one question I have for you guys is, where do you feel like you're at like now? And if you could give people that are watching one piece of advice after taking this program, what would it be?
I would say, and I think that I heard this from you, like most people want to lose weight or build muscle or whatever to feel a certain way. And like, how about we just feel like that today? And like, and that's really really possible. So it would be to figure out what you're telling yourself that's telling yourself that you're not okay the way you are right now, and then to figure out how to change that, because you are okay the way you are right now, and you're not. I know for me, I never ever have successfully made change or done anything healthy when the motivation is because I'm ashamed of myself or I hate myself, right? So it's working on that. That's really the growth.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
What about you, Alexandra?
I'm going to say the biggest thing is patience. I felt like for me, I hit my rock bottom of exhaustion from, the yo-yoing, the calorie logging, exercise logging. Did I get my step? All of it just came to a screeching halt. And I was like, something's got to change. I'm not losing weight or getting healthy because I've got to rewire. And this is what I tell my patients: you didn't gain weight, and you didn't gain 50 pounds in a month. You're not going to lose it in a month. And I feel like I'm finally taking my own advice, and saying, listen and be patient and be kind with yourself. And that's something I've never done. Sure, there's things where I took care of myself, but I don't know if it gave me the real satisfaction like it is now.
It's because maybe you're coming from a place of care and kindness versus like your motivation being, I have to lose weight.
Yes. And I think it's that motivational interviewing technique. I had to ask myself, between being whatever to not necessarily relapse, but that contemplation, pre-contemplation, when was I ready to take action? And I think when I came to you, when did we start? So it was February-ish. I said, I got to do something. And one of the other things I miss most is that I quit cooking, because food was just whatever. And now I'm actually enjoying food. I want to start cooking again, although it's too hot right now. But just little things and other things I've done that is adulting, it's all falling into place. So I'm like, I'm on a momentum. I'm going to hit a brick wall some days, but it'll be okay. And I think that people need to realize patience and kindness to yourself.
That's amazing. You said something. You said things are falling into place and other parts of your life, and that's one thing that I find a lot with finding body freedom and finding food freedom is when you take weight off the table and you start making choices for your body, for your health, for yourself, rooted in kindness, that you don't have that obsession in your head anymore. Whether it's negative body talk, always telling you don't look good enough or you aren't worthy enough, or calculating calories, counting macros, counting, tallying, all that junk leaves a lot more room for you to live your life and for you to let everything fall into place and for you to spend quality time with other people that you love. And I don't know, that's why freedom it's kind of been, it's woven into my programs, because it's the one word that I think when you can let go of that stuff, you have.
I want to also mention the biggest thing that I've learned: having Melissa, with her background, absolutely provided so much sustenance and substance, and most of all, support. That was probably the icing on the cake.
Yeah, I think too, I like having a community doing this in a group setting. Because I like in the recovery community, people are really supportive, but I've never really done anything related to personal growth that's not that. And it was still like a feeling. I was thinking today, I'm like, maybe everyone should just like write on their shirts, like, I struggle with body. Like maybe if we all told each other what we were struggling with in life, people would, because it seems to be like a way that you connect with people in a very meaningful, loving, supportive way that doesn't happen to you when you're, I don't know, like, you know, at some other more superficial common denominator. Like, so the support and the encouragement are so healing and helpful, because, you know, like when I hear Alexandra talk about maybe some of the ways that she viewed herself that weren't healthy, and I can see like, well, that's not what I see. That doesn't make sense, right? Then I can think, oh, well, maybe I'm being too hard on myself too. Like, it's super helpful.
There's something to be said about learning with other people in a group, because I think collectively they're hearing other people's stories and their journeys and going through the process together. We learn from each other, and it's really special. So I guess with that, I do want to say that the next rounds of Finding Body Freedom are coming up. And so if anyone's watching this, if anyone watches the replay later and you have any questions, leave them below. If you're interested, just put me or put freedom in the comments. I will come back and chat with you, and we can talk more about it. So yeah, doors are opening soon for the next group. So I just want to leave an open invitation at the end for you to just put comments me if you're interested. And I just wanted to thank you ladies for coming on and sharing your time with me tonight. I mean, I know, Melissa, you just got off work, and Alexandra, it's like, you know, middle of the Tuesday night for you. So
I'm actually going to hop on work myself, but I was making faces, Felix grabbing my leg, and I was like, oh, the claws. Sorry about that.
The cat has tried to jump on me, and now they're trying to tip a box over. So they know when I get on video. All right. Well,
maybe another pitch for those that have tried all these programs. I'm going to tell you, this was the best money I spent, and it was less than some of the other things I've done by far. So, you know, it sounds a lot, but when you think of meal delivery, diets, the grocery bill, this is something that sticks with you the rest of your life. So I think that outweighs the cost by a million.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I like, you know, I'm a single mom, so like I was like, I'm not sure if this is something I can afford, and it was absolutely worth it. Just like freedom is like really the right word for it. It's so nice during stressful times right now that if I eat a piece of pizza, I don't have to hate myself on top of everything else. Like, it's just like so freeing, right? I can be like, I just ate a piece of pizza. Okay, that's all right. That's what happened. And then move on, right?
And you're already taking so many strides to being an intuitive eater. I think this program laid that foundation.
Sure.
That people are so scared to, and that's why I created this program. If anyone's listening, because Finding Food Freedom was the classic, the original program, same thing, 16 weeks. But people had a major roadblock with like, how can I let myself eat? How can I not focus on weight and be healthy? And so it's like this body image, it was because they didn't feel worthy in the body that they currently we're in, and that you have to start from that place. And so just hearing you guys talk about wanting to cook again and talk about eating a piece of pizza and moving on, you're already like, you're there. You're making strides toward being an intuitive eater, and you didn't even start that program. So finding body freedom, that tells me this is where you have to start to start to make decisions for yourself out of love and respect. And maybe you don't love the way you look externally every single day, but that's okay too.
And yeah, I have to say too, one of the things with the intuitive eating, people talk about cues. Now that I actually take the time to just not rush through my meals, to eat every morsel, to listen to the person, and when they ask me questions, that gives them time to eat. I'm enjoying it. And I think that, and then I tend to not be miserable and bloated, and because I'm sitting there just, I'm actually, and then even if I eat the whole thing, I still don't feel, it's like it's there.
You don't feel guilty. You just move on. And that's part of finding food freedom and what we learn through that. With finding food freedom, it's like, it's just a choice you make in the moment, and then you move on. And with diets, it's never just a choice we make in the moment, because we're beating ourselves up in our head. And so we lost Melissa for a minute, but she's back. But I was saying, with diets, we can't just make a choice in the moment and move on. We can't just eat a pizza, a slice of pizza, 3 slices of pizza, and move on. It's, oh my gosh, well, I'll just eat the whole thing because I got to get it out of the house, and then the diet starts Monday, and then I'm just going to screw it. I'm going out and drinking tonight. I'm having a whole pan of brownies, and because I can't have this anymore. And so like that mentality is what's keeping us stuck. So, you're already building that foundation, and it's awesome.
And I would like to say, through this program and seeing other dietitians that are much younger than, I'm putting us in a group now, younger than us and young in their careers, and they are tapping into this, whether it's through their own experience or realizing we have to stop putting these demonized labels on what is health, what is beauty, and the two combined. I'm refreshed to see that, because this has been a long time coming, and I am hoping this will, diversity in dietetics is not just about color, gender. It's about this too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. There, you can be healthy at any size. Yeah. So, guys, I think we're done. I mean, the only other thing I wanted to say was, you guys mentioned cost. So if anyone is thinking about the cost and wants to chat with me, drop an emoji, say freedom, because there's 3 different price points, depending on where you're at in your situation in life. So I want to make it cost effective and inclusive for everyone. So definitely don't let that stop you. Reach out. And so Monday is the next group. So I'm going to be talking about this probably a lot in the group if you haven't heard it yet. So thank you so much for coming and joining us. And Melissa dropped off again, but that's fine. I'll let her know. And thank you guys so much. And I see somebody said we had a comment here, Denise. Thank you, Denise. Yeah, I'm glad you could make it. All right. Go
Bye.
enjoy it. Bye.